In life, we are on a constant pursuit for our slice of the pie. The pie comes in many forms, whether it's starting a business, higher education, pursuing a career, raising a family, and the list continues. The burdens we face during our pursuit is lessened when we are financially fit. The Breadwinners created a platform where we can discuss finances and entrepreneurship in a judgment-free space. We're striving to encourage healthy financial discussions amongst our peers to capture our slice, until we no longer want a slice and would rather bake our own cake. So growing up, we had this old idiom, and it was coming from the Jeffersons, and getting a piece of the pie or a slice of a pie. My parents used to say it all the time, but as a kid, I really didn't know what that meant. To you, what does a slice of a pie mean?
So it's your piece of the American dream, or your slice of capitalism, or your seat at the table. It transcends a bunch of different things, but it is taking your portion of whatever it is you desire. That's your slice of the pie.
So it can mean different things for different people.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because everybody's pie is different.
So for your passions in your life, what does that specifically mean for you?
My slice of the pie is my driving in my own lane, and sharing my gifts and my talents with those who need them, that can use them to get ahead. So my slice of the pie is my seat at the table, bringing my knowledge, my skill set, my expertise to an audience that can then leverage it and be successful. It's my slice of the pie.
Well put. So tell us about you. Tell us about your business.
So I am the owner and chief strategist of Hamilton Strategy Co., and we are a boutique marketing agency specializing in both marketing and operational strategy. So my background is in marketing and operations for Enterprise America, so very large corporations. But 3 years ago now, I walked away from that and started my own business to bring my institutional and marketing expertise to the entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur. So it has been kind of mission-based, right? Because the entrepreneur is a very different audience than what I was used to. But I bring knowledge and skill set that they're not used to.
They don't have. Yeah.
They don't have. And you work with entrepreneurs, so entrepreneurs are good at whatever their discipline is. You might be a great mechanic, you might be a writer, you might be a baker, and you are good at that talent or that skill set. But to launch a business, there are so many other things that go into launching a successful business, not just the product that you bring to the table. And so that is what I help entrepreneurs work their way through. Number one, how to market that product or service that they bring to differentiate them from the competition, but also how do they deliver on that operationally, right? Because you can have a great product, but if your operations are shoddy, you'll never have a successful business, because operations delivers on the promises that the marketing makes. So
coming from corporate America, I know the silos and the lack of communication between the two leaves the customer or client unhappy, because marketing promised a roller coaster, they promised SeaWorld, and they promised all this stuff, but they got a backyard play.
Right, and you have to deliver on that every time, because somebody with a subpar product but great operations will outsell you every time. Your pie might not be the most delicious, but I know when I go, I can get it. It'll take me this amount of time. It's going to taste the same every time. It's going to be the right size. The cost is going to be there. So it might not even taste as good. But if you are more operationally efficient, your business is going to grow. Conversely, you might have the best pie in the world, but if it's hard for me to get it, if I keep going to your store and it's never open, or the website is always down, or it depends on who cooked it that day, on whether or not it tastes good, your business is not going to be successful. So,
great way to put it. It's like those illustrious Nikes we keep missing out on the drop every Saturday. God, they need to fix that. So where did this passion come from?
So My road was unconventional. I actually started out studying sociology and criminology. I was going to go to law school.
Oh, wow.
And I, at random, took a job one day. I found out at a service project that this company was hiring for a call center. And I was working a work study job at that time. Didn't necessarily need the money, but I was like, well, now, let me just see what this is about. And I actually worked there for 17 years, making my way up the ranks.
Wow.
But after a year in and moving over to the business channel, I was like, I need a business degree. Because I was so young, so I lacked credibility, even though I knew what I was talking about. Demographic features discounted my expertise, so I at least needed the credentials behind me. So I decided I wanted to get my business degree to back up the knowledge that I already had. So I went to business school, and then as I continued working, I found a passion for marketing. So I moved up from project management to business implementation, to operations, to marketing, and different segment marketing. But marketing and ops were really my passion. And before I worked in them, I didn't realize how they worked in tandem. Like, you can't be effective at one without the other. So it wasn't something that I saw happening, but it is what evolved. As a kid and as a teenager, I knew I wanted to use my mind and not my body to work. Like, I didn't want to do manual physical labor. I had to do something. Luckily, I was always smart, so to speak. So I knew I wanted to do something that would allow me to think, and I wanted to carry a briefcase.
So, I know that's right. So let me ask you this. You're in a position where a lot of people want to be, as far as I want to quit my 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 and be on my own. But we all know, as an entrepreneur, one day it's champagne, the next day it's malt liquor. So the pearls, what advice would you give to people that's on the brink?
Prepare. Don't just walk out one day. Don't say, I don't need this, I'm out of here. I can do this, I don't need it. You have to prepare for entrepreneurship. And then get the knowledge aside from the talent that you have that will help you build a business, but then also hire the experts. You're not going to know everything. I am a marketer. I'm not necessarily a salesperson. I'm a marketer. I'm not a web designer. Employ the people that fill in the gaps that you don't have. Don't try to guess, because you'll guess wrong, or it is going to be an expensive guess. But prepare yourself. Research, study, get your ducks in a row, and strategize. Plan out what your business is going to look like. Even though you are a baker or an artist, what does the business look like, and what do you need to do to be successful in that business? Study the businesses that are like yours, size-wise, age-wise, that have the similar customer, the good ones and the bad ones, because you can learn a lot from a bad business as well. Cautionary tales and mistakes that you can avoid. But it can't be something that you rush into. You have to plan it and execute it. And we talked about the importance of having a business plan.
It's massive. Think about this. So I feel like we live in an era of the entrepreneur. I think right now, I'm unsure we can say it's because of COVID, or we can say it's because of many of things, but people are starting to build up the courage for starting their own business or being in their own business. But how important it is to have a business plan?
The business plan serves several functions. Primarily, we think about the business plan giving you access to capital. So being able to walk into a bank or a financial institution and get the money you need to start your business. But it is not as simple as I'm a mechanic and in 5 years I want to have 10 shops in Northeastern Ohio. You've got to have the financials behind that. Any financial institution wants to know what you're going to do and what your plan is, but their concern is how they're going to get their money back, right? Absolutely. So they want to know it, and they don't care if you are selling cookies or houses or trucks. How are they going to get their money back? The business plan needs to outline that for them. And there's a lot of research that goes into that. It can't just be guesstimates, like if I can build 2 cars a month over time. It has to be more scientific than that. And again, that requires market research and comparing those like-sized businesses. What's the competition look like? What's the landscape? How have businesses with your same startings grown, how have they been profitable? Because that's what a financial institution is going to want to know. They want to secure their investment, make sure that it is something that is going to not only earn their money back, but be profitable. But then the business plan also holds you accountable, right? Because you want to say, year 1, I'm going to do this. Year 3, I'm going to do this. Year 5, I'm going to do that. And keep yourself true to that. Keep yourself on track. Now, the business plan, in some essences, has to be a living document because things change. In any kind of business, we have to be nimble. Roll with the punches and kind of adjust. Like, who 5 years ago would have thought in year 4 in 2020 we'd be in a pandemic and so many businesses and industries will have to completely redo the way they do business in order to stay afloat. So it has to be a living document. But if your goal is to have a catering and rent a commercial kitchen in year 1, by year 3 to have a food truck, by year 5 to have a brick and mortar, then in year 2, where am I to plan? And what am I not doing that'll get me there? Or if the business plan says that by year 2, my business will be profitable, because most businesses are not profitable in the first year, right?
You can say that again.
So if in month 30, you are no closer to that food truck, then what are you doing? How do you need to pivot with what you're doing right now to get you to your 3-year goal? Conversely, after 18 months, hey, I am way further than I anticipated being. I might be able to do the food truck at year 2 versus year 3. Year 3, I might be able to have 2. So it is something that you want to have to help keep you on course, but then you'll make changes as necessary based on the trajectory of your business.
That is very well put. That is very well put. So you mentioned market research, you mentioned all these different specific actions. I know I picked up those things in college, but what if someone that didn't go to college but have the ambition to be their business owner, but school just didn't work out? Like how would they go about getting that information?
Hire the expert. Hire the expert. Hire the expert.
Hire the expert. Absolutely.
Hire the expert. But then there are free resources that exist as well. Places like the Women's Business Center, the Urban League of Greater Cleveland,
Shouts out to them.
They all provide a lot of information, most of which is free. You just got to seek it. And they have a lot of different programming that will provide resources to aspiring or existing business owners that would like to pivot. Even just classes. So I teach classes or workshops for both of those organizations.
Oh, really?
And they have just a variety of programs and incubator programs that help you with everything from marketing to HR concerns, because those are things we don't necessarily value or think about going in, the value of a strong HR or people management. But again, the people are what make your business run. You can have a marketing strategy, you can have a great operational strategy, but if there's nobody to execute it, your business isn't going to work either. So the Urban League Women's Business Center, and those are just two that will provide free services to help you. But even with those, you want to be able to hire the expert to fill in the gaps.
Absolutely. I truly believe in consultation, especially where you're in a space where you're trying to build your brand. And you can't be the web designer, you can't be the marketing manager, you can't be operations, you can't be HR, you can't be fulfillment. I mean, it's extremely difficult.
And at some point, especially when you're a solopreneur like me, that started a business by myself, you need somebody to bounce things off of, or somebody to tell you when you're just not right.
You got to be able to take that information, though. I wonder what my wife will say to that if because I bounce so much stuff off of her, and I wonder if she'd say that if I'm receptive or not.
And as a strategist and a consultant, I have strong opinions about my clients' businesses. Sometimes they take them, sometimes they don't. But more often than not, when they don't, they have to come back, and then we have to figure out how to fix it, which then is more expensive because it's more time. And not just more expensive in the form of payment to me, but expensive to the damage whatever you didn't do at first caused your brand. So somebody's had a bad customer experience. Somebody has had an expectation that wasn't met. So not only do you have to do whatever you didn't do the first time, but you've got to then repair your brand or that relationship. Or, you know, you've got that black eye. We live in a time of Yelp and Google reviews and all that. So it used to be where one bad experience, they tell 7 people, but now that's amplified with the rise and dominance of social media. That bad review gets a lot more publicity than the good one, so you can't afford.
No.
Can't afford it.
Because when we're looking for restaurants in different cities and I go to Yelp, I don't know why subconsciously I just try to find the bad one, because I think all the good ones are like fabricated, you know, although they're not, but you always try to seek the bad one and it's weird. But speaking of social media, oh my God, we live in a world of social media. As far as strategies go with social media, is it smart to just strictly stay with social media, or does it depend on the industry, on the different type of marketing strategies you can have?
There today is not an industry that is exempt for social media. It has to be a part. I don't care what it is you're selling. Every industry boils down to the product or service that you're selling. There is a place for it in every industry. You have to have a good social strategy. It's cost effective. It is very cost effective, and then it is a quick way to amplify whatever that messaging is very broadly, very quickly. 15 years ago, companies were like the landmark was to be able to get like a commercial, right? Or we were spending money on radio ads. But when you think about time adjusted TV and how many people are actually watching live TV, it's not worth the money that you would spend. Now, one day our businesses will be big enough where we can buy that Super Bowl ad, right? But today you can touch a lot more people in home and out of home with effective strategy on social than you could with a television campaign. And then even radio. We all used to listen to radio on our drive to work in the morning, right? Well, that is replaced by playlists and podcasts on Apple Music and Spotify and things like that. People aren't even listening to the radio like they used to, and we're not even driving to work anymore. No.
Facts. I don't listen to the radio at all.
Me either. And it used to be expensive. Like to get an ad on at 7:30 in the morning was way more expensive to get one on at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because everybody was sitting in traffic listening to the radio, waiting for the weather. But those days are over. Social media has to be a part of every business's marketing strategy. You get the most bang for your buck.
Regardless of industry. Yeah, because that's where everyone goes to get their information. And I don't try to, it just happens, you know.
And then, so we think about, you know, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok or whatever, but there are other digital means to advertise. Google ads are bigger. Even when you're online shopping, in the middle of your Nordstrom feed, there are ads based on things that you've looked at in the past and things like that. So there are so many digital ways to advertise that, again, are way more cost effective. Some are more expensive than others. Like it's much more expensive to advertise on LinkedIn than it is on Facebook, but the algorithms and all those things are different, but the audience is different.
Question for you, not to switch subjects a little bit, but when it comes to strategy, a new business, at what point do they come to you? Do they come to you after they have the formation, or after they've already been established? Or at what point do they come to you and say, hey, I need help with building my brand?
It's a mixture of both. Some just have a brainchild, like this is what I want to do. Then you've got some that have started and it's not going well, and some that have been in business but want to go in a new direction or want to scale or expand their business. So I can be brought in at any part of the business cycle. Now, if it is when you are planning this is the business that I want and I want to launch in 6 months kind of thing. Then I can help you get it off the ground a little smoother, all the way down to, and that's launch strategies, all the way down to what that event will be or what that launch event will be, but your social media, your colors, your logo, that kind of stuff, and what all of those things will mean or say about your brand. And where you want that to be, all the way down to the location, if it is brick and mortar, or operationally, what tools are you going to use to accept payment? What are you going to do to manage your money? What are you going to do to manage your team? What tools are available to help you even warehouse your customer information? Are all things that I can help you with. Ideally, when you've already before you start the business, but even if it's been 5 years and it's not going great, you need to do something different. Or I've got 10,000 customers, I want 250,000 next year, what are we going to do? That's a conversation we can help plan and execute as well.
So regardless of where you are?
It depends on, because we're going to help you get where you want to go. Even if you're in a good place today, but you want to be in a better place tomorrow, we'll help you with the strategy and the tools to help you get to where that is. So
we assess, plan, and execute, right?
Absolutely.
It's the little things.
And I'm a strategist at my core, so I want to plan everything. Now that's going to be like my weekends and what I'm doing at what time. I'm strategizing personally, but business-wise, you just cannot afford
not
to fly by the seat of your pants. It's going to cost you. What you think you've saved in time is going to cost you in money and cleanup if you don't properly strategize.
The constant struggle, or the biggest question, one of the biggest questions, is time versus money, right? So when you think from a strategic perspective, how do you find a balance to that?
So it's not just time versus money, it's time, money, and quality.
That third one.
Time, money, and quality, right?
Right.
And which is most important, because you can get something quick and good, but it won't be cheap. You can get something good and cheap, but it won't be quick. So you can't get all three at the same time. It is just a rule of thumb. Time, cost, quality. What's most important? That's the struggle with any business. If you're hiring a general contractor.
Right, to fix your house. Yeah, absolutely.
Time, money, quality.
Who's the fastest? How much it's going to cost?
Get all three.
How good it's going to look.
So is it better that the product is quality, or that you get it on the shelves first, or that it is inexpensive? We want to find a good balance of all three, but you're never going to get all three at the same time.
That's crazy. I never added that third one. Oh my God.
Quality.
Yeah, it is. It is. Even from a service or a product-based business, it's still wow. That is simply amazing. that certainly is. And that's regardless of industry and things that you do. So do you have a wheelhouse, like industries that's within your wheelhouse that you like absolutely love, or is it anyone with the passion that's willing to do the work?
Anyone with the passion that is willing to do the work. Now, there are some industries that I am more familiar with just based on client experiences and work experience. But those that are new to me are exciting because it allows me to learn something at the same time. Somehow I've had a lot of clients that are into like health and wellness. Sometimes you can't control the customer that comes to you. So that wasn't a niche that I anticipated, but money moves in circles. Once you get a reputation in that industry, then other clients come. So that was an industry that I had to learn about. But regardless, so I worked in wireless for a long time. I know a lot about it. But if I have a client that is doing something in that industry, I still have to do market research. Because what was true 5 years ago in any industry is not true today.
Nope.
And then what you're doing in that industry, where you're doing it, and the amount of capital involved, if you're selling towers or if you're selling phones, impacts the market research and what you need to do from a marketing or operational perspective. So no matter the industry, I'm still going to have to do the research to make sure that I'm providing the best information and the best plan for that client.
Do your research. So important.
But customers clients need to do their research as well, because while I think I'm very credible,
Right.
You should want to know that I know what I'm talking about. And that's with me or anybody that you hire. You've got to know a little bit about it to make sure that they're not selling you what they want you to have versus what you need. And it's actually sound advice.
Absolutely, and that's invaluable. That's extremely valuable. So let's say, what has, from your perspective, what has been like an emerging, not so much market, but emerging, market or industry that entrepreneurs are just running towards?
Locally, bakeries.
Really?
Cupcakes. Yes.
I love confections.
Yes. Yes. But as you said a little earlier, now is the time. We have so many emerging entrepreneurs. Some out of necessity, some have gotten the confidence to pursue their passions. And so I see a lot of bakeries or at-home bakers that want to then transition to making their side hustle a legitimate business, because those are different things. And you have some businesses that have been in business for a while, but they still operate like a side hustle.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
So wait a second. So let's make this clear. So what's like one of the differences between like a side hustle and a real business?
Your operations. Your operations. Do you have an infrastructure built that is not totally dependent on you and your mind? Is everything up here or is something in a computer somewhere?
Oh.
Is somebody actually able to run the business in your absence or contribute to can you take a vacation? And is that business a living, breathing thing every day or only when you want to be bothered?
Would that vary though, from by what you're doing? No, not really, because you're always. I just answered my own question because you're always in pursuit to be better, right? So even if you are a service-based business and you're 5 o'clock, that's it, or 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, whatever. But in your mind, it's never really turned off, right?
Never really turned off, because if your doors close at 5 o'clock, people are going to call or email or inbox at 7:30 p.m. And what does that look like? Are you waiting until tomorrow when you get in? Are you waiting until you have time to look at it again? Or is there a process to handle those off-hour inquiries to make it a better experience for that customer, for them to want to wait for you to wait to open up tomorrow? When it's a business versus a side hustle, both are revenue streams, but is it something that is going to grow? And that is always a priority. Not, I need to get a couple of customers because I want to do this. So I got to do taxes this year because I want to go on vacation, or I've got to do this to get me out of this bind. Versus, is this something that I am working on and feeding and growing constantly?
Wow. Oh my God, I don't think you could have put that any better. So in other words, the side hustle and the real business is how you view it and how much work you put in.
And a lot of people, entrepreneurs have the capacity to be very successful, but it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work, and I think people discount the amount of work that it takes to own a business. Now, there is a lot of reward in a business, but there is a lot of sweat equity in a business. A lot of sweat equity, and it can be expensive, but the time away from your family, away from your friends, away from your hobbies. You're married. Your family has to be on board with you running a business. And we think about the money. If I work hard, I'll have this much money. Or I should be able to grow this, but if I work hard, I will maybe miss these things, or I'm not going to have time to do this. And everybody's got to be on board.
You know what's crazy? When I think about being in business, I never think about the money. I don't. It's because I was always taught like it'll take care of itself. So I ran track, and our sprint coach, Coach P, back in Notre Dame, he was there for a handful of years. He always told us to fall in love with the grind. You know, the day-to-day things. Don't look at the end result, look at what it takes to get there. So I took that knowledge and I applied it to like my business in real life. And that's why I never really focus on the cash. But do you think that people are missing the point if they just go into a business just for cash? Or how much, like, how much does that passion weighs into like their work?
Well, it depends on the reason that you started that business. Not every entrepreneur is passionate about the business they chose. They might have, it is an investment opportunity. They might not be passionate about that, that business or the service that it provides. They are passionate about the revenue that it generates. Some people just want to make money. It's not a lifelong dream. It's like, hey, I've got X amount of dollars. Where can I invest it to get the most return on return on investment? And whatever that is, let me learn about it. Let me put my money there. So it's not like an artist and being able to display my art and share it with the world and get validation that way. It could be, hey, art galleries make a lot of money. I've got some money to spend. Let's open an art gallery. They're not necessarily passionate about the product or the service. They just want to make money. And that's okay too. Not all entrepreneurship is based on passion. It's about profit.
At the end of the day, it's about
but
how much.
This is capitalism, right? So
it's America. Yeah.
Right. So we're not always passionate. I'm sure everybody that owns fast food franchises aren't passionate about Chick-fil-A fries.
I don't know. Colonel Sanders seemed pretty passionate.
Yeah, but if I own a Colonel Sanders franchise, do I really care about chicken? Nope. I just know that that's a brand
that people
that
buy.
I can multiply my money, right?
I haven't had Kentucky Fried, so well, he changed today. Okay, cool. Well, in closing, is there a tip you want to give to a striving entrepreneur that's struggling right now? A tip to him, like words of advice, words of encouragement.
Be prepared to stay the course. It is not as easy as it looks, but it is rewarding. Hire the expert and do your research.
Do your research. There we have it.